In a world where oceans dominate the planet and the name, pirate, is both feared and revered, legends are born in waves and whispers. The series begins not with fanfare, but with chaos, a violent storm raging across the sea, lightning splitting the skies, and terrified pirates scrambling across the deck of a galleon. Through the rain and crashing waves, a barrel floats quietly amidst the madness. Inside it sleeps a strange boy, cheerful, fearless, and unlike anything the world has ever seen. His name is Monkey D. Luffy, and his dream? To become the king of the pirates. Luffy's introduction isn't grand, but it's unforgettable. He emerges laughing from the barrel, not with a sword or a threat, but with childlike confidence and an impossibly stretchy arm, a result of eating the mystical Gomu Gomu no Mi, a devil fruit that turned his body into rubber. He can no longer swim, but he doesn't care. He's set on becoming the Pirate King. His first stop is a pirate ship belonging to the iron mace-wielding tyrant Alvida, where he meets Kobe, a timid cabin boy who dreams of joining the Marines, but has been bullied and trapped in Alvida's service for years. Luffy doesn't hesitate to challenge Alvida, even mocking her appearance, something no one else dares. When she attacks, he responds with his now iconic technique, Gomu Gomu no Pistol. The sheer force of the blow sends her flying off the ship, defeating her in one strike. Kobe, inspired by Luffy's boldness and refusal to bow to fear, decides to accompany him, if only temporarily, to the next island, Shell's Town. Shell's Town is home to a marine base under the control of the brutal Captain Morgan. The townspeople live in fear, and anyone who disobeys is swiftly punished. Luffy and Kobe arrive here seeking someone, a man named Roronoa Zoro, a fearsome swordsman imprisoned for standing up to the captain's spoiled son, Helmeppo. Zoro is tied to a wooden post in the yard, starving and silent, with only days left before his execution. A small girl sneaks him a rice ball out of pity, only for Helmeppo to cruelly crush it into the dirt. Zoro stays silent, eyes burning with pride. Watching this, Luffy instantly decides he wants Zoro on his crew. Luffy confronts Helmeppo, punches him square in the face for mocking justice, and steals back Zoro's swords from the base. As Morgan learns of the insubordination, he erupts in rage. Meanwhile, Luffy returns to the execution yard and offers Zoro a deal. Join his pirate crew, and he'll set him free. Zoro initially refuses. He's a bounty hunter, not a pirate. But when Luffy defends the rice ball girl, and Helmeppo's guards turn on him, Zoro sees something different in Luffy. With Kobe's help, they free him, and Zoro reclaims his swords. His three-sword style, Santoryu, is revealed in combat for the first time as he slices through Marines. Luffy battles Captain Morgan himself, using Gomu Gomu no Pistol once again to knock him out and destroy his massive statue in the courtyard, a symbol of his tyranny. After the fight, Kobe decides to stay behind and finally pursue his own dream of becoming a Marine. Luffy helps Kobe prove his independence by pretending to fight with him in front of the Marine officials, ensuring Kobe's loyalty won't be questioned. Luffy and Zoro, now partners, sail away into the vast East Blue. They don't have a navigator, they don't have a proper ship, but they have a goal: find the Grand Line and begin the journey to One Piece. Their journey leads them to a drifting ship overtaken by pirates. Luffy catapults himself aboard and meets a fiery, orange-haired girl named Nami. Clever, manipulative, and skilled in both stealing and navigation, she's pretending to be part of the pirate crew. While Luffy and Zoro easily defeat the attackers, Nami uses the chaos to make off with a treasure map and Luffy's stolen Grand Line chart. She's not just a thief, she's a specialist in robbing pirates. Despite her shady methods, Luffy is intrigued by her skills as a navigator. Nami, on the other hand, has no intention of joining a pirate crew. She hates pirates, but fate has other plans. They follow her to Orange Town, a small city that has fallen under the rule of Buggy the Clown, a ruthless pirate captain with an explosive temper and an unusual devil fruit power, the Bra Bra no Mi, which lets him split his body into floating pieces at will. Buggy's circus-themed crew is both comical and cruel, using cannonballs to terrorize civilians. Nami pretends to betray Luffy and hands him over to Buggy in exchange for gold, but it's all a ruse. She doesn't intend to kill Luffy. However, When Buggy prepares to execute Luffy with a cannon, Nami hesitates, revealing her moral conflict. Zoro arrives in time to cut the cannon and rescue Luffy. Buggy attacks, using his dismembered floating limbs in erratic and deadly ways. In the chaos, we get our first real battle between Devil Fruit users. Luffy is immune to most blunt attacks thanks to his rubber body, while Buggy's ability makes him impossible to slash. But Luffy finds creative ways to exploit Buggy's cockiness, eventually grabbing Buggy's separated torso and kicking it into a building. Zoro, despite suffering a stab wound during the fight, defeats one of Buggy's key officers, showing his resilience and deadly sword skills. The townspeople are freed, and Nami, still hesitant, agrees to temporarily travel with Luffy and Zoro. Her reasons are still unclear. She seeks treasure and seems to be hiding something painful, but for now, they have a navigator. The Straw Hat crew is starting to take shape. Their next destination is Syrup Village, where they encounter a boy named Usopp, famous or infamous for his constant lies. Every morning, he runs through town yelling, "Pirates are coming," so often that no one believes him anymore. He's the son of Usopp, a sniper who serves under the legendary red-haired Shanks, the very same pirate who inspired Luffy's dream. Usopp befriends the crew and introduces them to Kaya, a sickly but kind young woman who lives in a large mansion. Her butler, Klahadore, seems polite at first, but Luffy suspects something is off. Sure enough, Klahadore is actually Captain Kuro, a notorious pirate who faked his death 3 years earlier. He's been quietly living under the alias, waiting for the right time to murder Kaya and inherit her fortune. When Luffy overhears Kuro revealing the plan, he confronts him but is knocked unconscious and thrown off a cliff. Usopp hears it too, but when he tries to warn the villagers, no one believes him. Desperate, Usopp gathers 3 local kids and prepares to defend the coast. Zoro, Nami, and the now-awake Luffy return and join him. Kuro's plan begins at dawn, using his pirate crew, the Black Cat Pirates, who attack the village from the shore. Their top officers, Siam and Buchi, are agile and dangerous, but Zoro handles them with brutal efficiency, despite being misled by Nami and having to fight without his swords at first. Usopp gets his first real taste of battle, hiding his fear but continuing to fight alongside the others to protect Kaya. The confrontation with Kuro is intense. He uses a terrifying speed-based technique called Shikushi, slashing through his own men in a frenzy. Luffy, angered by Kuro's cruelty and betrayal of Kaya's trust, takes him head-on and defeats him in a furious fight, declaring that people who use others and hurt friends are the worst kind of pirate. After the fight, Kaya thanks the crew and offers them a reward, a small ship that becomes the Going Merry, their first real vessel. Usopp, now inspired and determined to become a brave warrior of the sea, decides to join the crew. The farewell between him and Kaya is emotional but hopeful. With a new ship, a new crewmate, and renewed purpose, the Straw Hats finally feel like a real pirate crew. With Usopp now officially part of the crew and the Going Merry ready to sail, the Straw Hats finally look like a team. A chaotic one, yes, but unified by dreams. Luffy's goal to become king of the pirates burns as strong as ever, and now they have a navigator in Nami, a swordsman in Zoro, and a sniper in Usopp. As they leave Syrup Village behind, the open sea stretches wide in front of them, but it's not long before a new problem arises. They have no food. Usopp and Luffy quickly spiral into comic hunger tantrums, and when Nami spots a floating restaurant on the sea, the Baratai, salvation seems near. But this isn't just a place to eat. It's the entry point to one of the most emotionally layered arcs so far. As the Going Merry approaches the floating restaurant, they encounter a marine ship led by Lieutenant Fullbody. Arrogant and preening, Fullbody tries to impress a woman aboard his ship by showing off, only to be publicly embarrassed when Luffy accidentally crashes the Merry into the Baraty's side. To pay for the damage, Zeph, the Baraty's gruff, peg-legged head chef, forces Luffy into a temporary waiter job. Here we meet a new central figure, Sanji, the flirtatious sous chef with a cigarette always in his mouth and a sharp tongue ready to insult both customers and co-workers. His charisma is undeniable, but what makes him stand out is how he defends a starving customer against the restaurant's rules. While the others are ready to toss the man overboard, Sanji offers food with a silent dignity. Luffy is intrigued. Just as things begin to calm, the real storm enters the Bartai in the form of a half-dead pirate named Jin, part of the crew of the notorious Don Krieg. He's weak, starving, and moments from death, but instead of turning him away, Sanji feeds him. It's a small act of kindness, but it sets everything into motion. Jin leaves the Bartai with tears in his eyes and a vow of gratitude, only to return a few days later with Don Krieg himself. Krieg, ruthless and cunning, has lost his entire fleet in the Grand Line after being crushed by a mysterious figure known as Dracula Mihawk. Starving and beaten, he begs the chefs for food. Zeph, despite knowing who he is, gives it to him without question. But the moment Krieg regains strength, he reveals his true colors, betraying their hospitality and demanding the Bartai as his new flagship. Zeph refuses, and a full-scale battle erupts. Amidst this chaos, Sanji's backstory begins to unfold. Years ago, he was a young apprentice cook aboard a passenger ship. That ship was attacked by Zeph the pirate, but a storm shipwrecked them both on a rocky outcrop in the middle of the sea. With barely any supplies, they were forced to survive for weeks. Sanji hated Zeph, thinking the old man had hoarded all the food for himself. But when he finally checked Zeph's bag, he discovered it was filled with nothing but treasure. Zeph had given Sanji all the real food and survived by eating his own leg. That moment shattered Sanji's pride and forever changed his view of the world. From then on, he vowed never to let anyone starve, enemy or friend. Back in the present, Luffy declares war on Krieg. The Barity chefs, led by Sanji, fight back. Krieg's forces are vast and well-armed. His lieutenant, Pearl, wears spiked armor and launches flaming attacks. Zoro fights through injuries. Nami quietly slips away from the chaos with the Going Merry, and Usopp does his best to support from a distance. But the real battle is between Luffy and Krieg. Luffy, despite being unarmed and outmatched in weaponry, refuses to back down. He uses raw instinct, rage, and rubber body creativity to fight Krieg. Through the battle, Krieg unleashes a spiked cloak, explosive weapons, and even poison gas, but nothing shakes Luffy's resolve. The fight reaches its peak when Krieg launches his mighty battle spear attack. Luffy dodges, grips the weapon, and in a wild burst of power, he snaps it in half with his bare hands. What follows is a flurry of punches and a final gum-gum bazooka that sends Krieg crashing into the sea. He's defeated. The restaurant is in shambles, but its spirit and staff remain. As the dust settles, Sanji faces a choice. Zeph tells him it's time to go, to pursue his dream, to find the All Blue, a mythical sea where all the fish of the world gather, a paradise for any chef. Sanji hesitates, torn between loyalty and ambition. But after a heartfelt farewell and a tearful thank you, he joins the crew. It's one of the most emotional departures in the series so far. Sanji kneels and thanks Zeph not as a pirate, but as a father figure, with tears streaming down both their faces. The Bartai crew sends him off with a mix of jokes and pride. The Straw Hats are now for Luffy, Zoro, Usopp, and Sanji. But something's wrong. Nami is gone. The Going Merry has disappeared. She's taken the ship and sailed away on her own. The mood turns grim. Luffy is confused but not angry. He senses something deeper. They follow her route toward a place called Kokoyashi Village. On the way, they meet Johnny and Yasaku, two bounty hunters and friends of Zoro, who inform them of Arlong, a ruthless fishman pirate whose name sends a chill down everyone's spine. He's been ruling the East Blue's waters with cruelty and fear, and Nami is part of his crew. What seems like betrayal is far more complicated. Nami returns home to Kokoyashi, where the truth comes out. She's not working for Arlong willingly. She's trapped. Years ago, Arlong murdered her adoptive mother, Belmere, right in front of her, and took over her village. To protect her people, Nami made a deal. She would work as Arlong's navigator and give him every belly she stole from pirates. In exchange for the freedom of her village once, she paid 100 million belly. For years, she's kept that promise, stealing, suffering in silence, and drawing maps for Arlong's empire. But Arlong is a liar. When she finally gathers the 100 million belly, Arlong betrays her and bribes corrupt marines to steal the money. Nami's world collapses. She stabs herself in the shoulder in frustration, crying and screaming in the streets. It's here that Luffy finds her. She falls to her knees and finally lets go of the pain she's been carrying alone. Through tears, she whispers, "Luffy, help me." He takes off his straw hat, his most prized possession, and gently places it on her head. Then, he turns to his crew and says only one word, "Let's go." The Going Merry cuts through the waves toward Kokoyashi village, its crew tense but determined. Nami's disappearance has left a hole in their hearts, but none more than Luffy. He doesn't fully understand her motives, but he trusts her enough to follow her trail, no questions asked. Soon, they meet Johnny and Yasaku, two bounty hunters and friends of Zoro, who warn them about Arlong, a cruel fishman pirate with a 20 million belly bounty and a reputation that chills even seasoned seafarers. Arlong is no ordinary pirate. His strength, ruthlessness, and hatred for humans have allowed him to build a tyrannical empire over the East Blue Seas. Johnny explains that Nami is working under Arlong's command, and that Kokoyashi village is under his iron fist. Arriving at Kokoyashi, the crew sees a village draped in fear. The villagers live in poverty, and every inch of the town bears Arlong's mark, a fish-shaped symbol painted on doors, boats, and walls. This is not just control, it's occupation. Luffy and the others feel the weight of this oppression as Nami walks among the villagers, cold and distant. She no longer hides her animosity toward pirates, particularly Luffy and his crew, making it clear she has her own reasons for betrayal. Nami warns them to leave before they get caught, but Zoro insists they confront Arlong. Usopp, fueled by loyalty to Nami, reluctantly agrees, though fear gnaws at him. The tension explodes when the crew is captured and brought before Arlong at his lair, a massive, fortress-like fishman stronghold in the middle of the sea. Arlong's grotesque form towers over them, his cruel smile revealing sharp teeth. He taunts Luffy, reminding him that his crew is no match for a fishman pirate, and that Nami is his navigator by choice, or so it seems. But Nami's eyes tell a different story. In a flashback, we see her childhood in Kokoyashi, growing up with her adoptive mother Belmere, a kind-hearted former Marine who took her and her sister in after they were orphaned. Life was peaceful until Arlong's arrival shattered their world. Years earlier, Arlong killed Belmere right before Nami's eyes, cruelly punishing the village for refusing to pay his taxes. Terrified and desperate, Nami made a deal with Arlong to save her village. She would serve him and map the seas to aid his piracy, stealing treasure from other pirates to pay the exorbitant tax, 100 million belly, needed to buy back her village's freedom. For years, she toiled alone, hoping for the day her debt would be paid and her village freed. But now that day has come, and Arlong has betrayed her. He steals the treasure she worked so hard for, refusing to release the village. Overwhelmed, Nami breaks down completely. She stabs her shoulder in agony, tears streaming down her face, screams echoing through the streets. Luffy watches silently, his resolve hardening. He steps forward, places his cherished straw hat on her head, and says nothing. The weight of that gesture, the symbol of their bond and his promise, speaks louder than words. The Straw Hats prepare to fight, not just to save Nami, but to free Kokoyashi from tyranny. The battle erupts in the village streets. Zoro, though still nursing injuries from past fights, slices through Arlong's henchmen with brutal precision. Usopp, despite his fear, fights with everything he has to protect his friends and the villagers who once doubted him. Sanji uses his lightning-fast kicks to clear waves of enemies. Nami, for the first time in years, fights alongside her friends rather than alone, using her expertly honed skills with a staff and clever traps. The stakes are higher than ever. This is more than survival, it's liberation. Finally, Luffy confronts Arlong himself in a fierce, no-holds-barred duel. Arlong's fishman strength and durability put Luffy's rubber body to the ultimate test. He lashes out with crushing blows, tail strikes, and water-enhanced attacks. But Luffy, fueled by anger, friendship, and an unyielding spirit, refuses to be beaten. He stretches, bounces, and punches with an intensity born of desperation. With a final, explosive gum-gum bazooka, Luffy shatters Arlong's leg, the same leg Arlong had used to terrorize Nami's village. The tyrant's fortress crumbles as Luffy destroys Arlong's map room, the very symbol of Nami's enslavement. As the dust settles, the villagers rejoice, their chains broken. Nami collapses in relief and gratitude, embraced by her friends. The Straw Hats have not just gained a crewmate, they've become a family. Luffy's promise to become Pirate King is no longer just a dream. It's a beacon of hope for those oppressed by tyranny. With Kokoyashi freed, the crew sets sail once again, ready for the dangers and adventures of the Grand Line.